Ethan wiped the sweat from his forehead as he leaned over the workbench, the small alien limb resting carefully in a frame before him. His hands were steady, but his mind raced. This was unlike any project he had ever attempted. Humans had built machines, ships, even artificial intelligences for the most extreme conditions. But crafting a prosthetic limb for a Veyari child required something beyond technology. It required understanding a world he barely knew. The workshop smelled faintly of oil, heated metal, and the strange resin the Veyari used in their tools. Outside, the city was alive with noise. Hovering vehicles zipped between towers, and creatures of all shapes moved through the streets. The Veyari themselves were everywhere, their tall, lithe bodies gliding gracefully through the bustling city. Their skin shimmered in soft colors, changing slightly with mood or light. Ethan had always found it mesmerizing, but now he had to focus. One mistake could hurt the child, and he couldn't afford that. Lyra waited quietly in the corner of the workshop, her small frame folded into itself. She was about the same age as Ethan's niece back on Earth, but she carried an air of caution that only made him more determined. Her missing arm, replaced by a stump that ended just below the shoulder, had been a source of quiet sorrow for her. Ethan had watched her try to play with the other children, always falling behind, always being careful not to bump into anything. Today he was going to change that. He picked up the limb he had been assembling. It was unlike anything he had ever made. The base was constructed from a lightweight, nearly indestructible alloy. Beneath it, sensors and micro-actuators mimicked muscle movement, while a thin layer of synthetic tissue made it look and feel almost real. Ethan had spent days studying Veyari anatomy from reference scans, trying to anticipate the subtle differences that made their physiology unique. "You're ready," Ethan said softly, more to himself than anyone else. Lyra tilted her head and looked at him with wide, curious eyes. She did not speak much, but her eyes held a depth of emotion that words could never capture. Gently, Ethan helped her position herself in a chair. "Okay, Lyra, I'm going to try something new. It might feel strange at first, but I promise it will help you." He unclipped the straps on the prosthetic and held it out for her to touch. Her small hand hovered for a moment, unsure. Then slowly she reached out, her fingers brushing against the smooth surface. She flinched slightly, but Ethan encouraged her. "It's okay. Nothing will hurt you. You're stronger than you think." Lyra's lips curled in a tentative smile. That was enough for Ethan. He carefully attached the limb, connecting it to her stump through a series of tiny neural interfaces. The machinery whirred softly as the prosthetic synchronized with her nervous system. Ethan watched the monitors, ensuring the signals were responding correctly. "Try moving it," he instructed. Lyra blinked, then flexed the limb. Her eyes widened as the fingers opened and closed perfectly. Responding to her thoughts as if they had always been a part of her body, she lifted her arm slowly, testing the weight, then moved it in small, careful circles. A giggle escaped her lips, a sound Ethan had been hoping to hear. "You did it," he said, his own smile breaking across his face. "Look at that. You can move it perfectly." Lyra's laughter grew louder, and she began to experiment with more confident movements. She reached for a toy on the table and picked it up effortlessly. Then she tossed it into the air, catching it again with ease. Her eyes shone with joy, and Ethan felt a warmth in his chest that he had not experienced in a long time. The door to the workshop opened, and a few curious neighbors peeked in. Whispers spread quickly through the city, and soon a small crowd gathered outside. Humans were rare here, and a human capable of helping a Veyari child in such a personal way was even rarer. Ethan didn't mind the attention. Today it didn't matter. Today, Lyra's happiness was all that mattered. Hours passed, and the sun in the alien sky dipped lower, casting long shadows across the workshop. Lyra had grown more confident with her new limb, and Ethan had made adjustments, fine-tuning the sensors and the grip. Every small movement was a triumph. Then a commotion outside made Ethan look up. He froze, unsure of what to expect. A sleek, regal starship had landed in the central plaza, its surface shimmering in the light. Veyari guards moved swiftly, surrounding the craft as it settled. Word spread quickly. The Queen herself had arrived. Ethan felt a surge of anxiety. The Queen? Here for him? The thought was absurd, yet undeniable. His hands itched to return to work, but he knew this was a moment beyond anything he had faced. The workshop door opened with quiet authority, and a figure stepped inside. She was taller than any Veyari Ethan had seen, her presence commanding attention without a word. Her skin shimmered in deep hues of violet and silver, and her eyes, large and luminous, seemed to pierce right through him. "You are the human who crafted this?" she asked, her voice melodic but firm. Ethan nodded, swallowing hard. "Yes, Your Majesty, I just wanted to help." The Queen approached Lyra, who now looked at her new limb with fascination. She knelt gracefully, extending her hand toward the child. "Lyra, my daughter," she said softly. "You are whole again thanks to this human." Lyra's small hand touched the Queen's, then hesitated before pointing to Ethan. The Queen followed her gesture and looked at him with something that Ethan could not quite read. Respect, curiosity, gratitude, perhaps all of them at once. "You have done something rare," the Queen said, "something no Veyari engineer could achieve alone. You have given my child more than a limb. You have given her freedom, joy, a chance to play like the others." Ethan felt a flush of pride. He had only wanted to help, never expecting this level of recognition. But the Queen's presence made him aware that this moment was more than personal achievement. It could change the way humans were seen here forever. "I am honored, Your Majesty," he said, his voice steady despite the rapid beating of his heart. "I only followed what I know. I wanted her to move, to feel normal, to feel happy." The Queen studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "Your skill is remarkable, but it is your heart that matters most. The Veyari have watched humans for generations, and too often, we see only ambition or greed. Today you have shown something far greater, empathy." Ethan blinked, unprepared for such praise. He had never thought of himself as heroic. He was just a man with knowledge and a desire to help. Yet here, in the presence of alien royalty, he felt the weight of possibility. The Queen stood and motioned for Ethan to follow. "Come with me," she commanded, her tone leaving no room for refusal. "There is more to discuss, and your talents may be needed in ways you cannot yet imagine." Lyra clung to Ethan's leg for a brief moment, then looked up at the Queen. "Will he come back?" she asked softly. The Queen smiled faintly. "He will come back, Lyra, and not just for you." As Ethan stepped toward the starship with the Queen, leaving the warm safety of his workshop behind, he felt a mix of excitement and fear. He had no idea what awaited him inside that regal vessel, only that his life, and perhaps the life of his new alien friends, would never be the same. For the first time in his career, Ethan realized that being human, with all his flaws and ingenuity, could make a difference across the stars, and somehow, just somehow, that realization filled him with hope. The starship doors closed behind them, sealing Ethan's path forward. Outside, the city continued its bustling rhythm. But inside, a human engineer and a Veyari queen were about to embark on a journey that would test creativity, courage, and the unspoken bond between species. Ethan took a deep breath and followed. Whatever came next, he knew one thing for certain. He had crossed a line into something far bigger than a workshop, far bigger than a prosthetic limb, and far bigger than he had ever dared to dream. The air inside the starship was cool and silent, a stark contrast to the bustling city outside. Ethan followed Queen Soraya through corridors that gleamed with alien technology he could hardly comprehend. Screens flickered with symbols and colors that seemed alive, and soft hums of energy pulsed beneath his feet. He felt like an intruder in a world far beyond human experience, yet he could not shake a sense of wonder. The Queen led him into a spacious chamber. Light filtered through translucent walls, casting patterns like water across the floor. At the center, a small platform held a collection of strange devices and tools, some looking familiar in concept, but completely alien in execution. Queen Soraya gestured for him to stand near them. "You are here because of what you did for Lyra," she began. "What you accomplished was not just a technical success. It was a demonstration of a human's ability to understand, to empathize, and to adapt. Our people have not seen this kind of creativity in generations." Ethan swallowed. "I only did what I could. I watched her, studied her movements, and tried to make something that worked. I didn't expect this." Soraya's eyes softened. "And that is why you were chosen, Ethan. We have many children like Lyra, children who are missing limbs or have other physical limitations. Our engineers have tried for decades, but nothing has succeeded fully. We believe that your understanding of both biology and mechanical design could help more than just one child." Ethan looked at the collection of devices on the platform. He understood the task she was proposing. It was enormous. Scaling a prosthetic from a single child to dozens, perhaps hundreds, would require research, careful planning, and immense patience. Yet he felt a spark of excitement. This was not just about work, it was about making a real difference. "I'll do my best," he said, determination firm in his voice. "I want to help," Soraya nodded. "Good, but there is more. This is not just a technical problem. Some of our people are wary of humans. They fear that our children might become dependent on alien technology that they cannot control. Others worry about human influence on our culture. You will need to earn their trust, not just demonstrate your skill." Ethan hesitated. He had never dealt with politics on this scale, and he knew that a single mistake could undermine everything. "I'll try to be careful," he said. "I'll follow your guidance." The Queen's expression grew serious. "Careful is not enough. You will need to show courage, empathy, and respect for our ways. Only then will our people accept your work. Are you prepared for that?" Ethan nodded. "Yes, I'll do whatever it takes." Soraya smiled faintly. "Good. Then we begin." Over the next several days, Ethan immersed himself in the palace's research and workshop areas. He studied Vaeri anatomy in more detail than ever, learning how their muscles, tendons, and neural pathways differed from humans. He experimented with materials that were both strong and light, adapting his designs to fit the unique physiology of the children. He met other children like Lyra, some shy, some frightened, and some who had never experienced play or mobility like other kids. Ethan learned to communicate with them through gestures, soft words, and patient demonstration. Slowly, the children began to trust him. They allowed him to fit prosthetics, watch as he adjusted sensors, and even play small games with them. The palace was not without challenges. Some Vaeri officials were skeptical of the human. They watched his every move, questioning his decisions and at times undermining his suggestions. Ethan felt the weight of their scrutiny but refused to be discouraged. He knew that success here meant more than completing a project. It meant bridging two cultures and proving that humans could contribute positively. One morning, Soraya summoned him to a council chamber. The room was filled with advisors, engineers, and scholars. A demonstration was planned. Ethan was to show how his latest prosthetic worked on one of the children. He knew this was a pivotal moment. If the demonstration failed, it could ruin his credibility forever. The child chosen was a boy named Kyle, who had lost his arm in an accident. Ethan carefully fitted the prosthetic, his hands steady despite the pressure. Kyle's eyes were wide with both fear and hope. Ethan encouraged him, whispering, "You can do this. Just move your hand the way you feel it." The room fell silent as Kyle flexed his new limb. It responded perfectly, moving as naturally as a real arm. He reached for a small ball, tossed it, and caught it again, laughing with pure joy. The Vaeri observers whispered among themselves, their expressions shifting from skepticism to amazement. Then, suddenly, an unexpected malfunction occurred. One of the actuators in the prosthetic seized, causing Kyle's hand to jerk violently. The boy cried out, panic flashing across his face. Ethan's heart raced. There was no time to hesitate. He moved quickly, adjusting the actuator manually and calming Kyle with gentle words. Within moments, the prosthetic resumed smooth movement. The room erupted in murmurs of astonishment. Soraya's eyes shone with pride and relief. She stood, her presence commanding complete attention. This human does not merely build machines. He adapts, he protects, he cares. He is worthy of our trust. Ethan exhaled, his muscles relaxing for the first time in hours. He had proven himself not only through skill but through courage under pressure. He looked at Kyle, who smiled brightly and felt a deep sense of fulfillment. In the following weeks, Ethan worked tirelessly, creating prosthetics for more children. Each success strengthened the bond between him and the Vaeri people. Parents who had been wary now approached him with hope. Children who had never experienced mobility now ran, jumped, and played freely. The Queen observed his work closely, often joining the sessions to see the children interact with their new limbs. She marveled at Ethan's patience and the way he respected the children's autonomy. Unlike many who had come before, he did not impose his methods. He listened. He adapted and he cared. One evening, as the sun set across the alien city, Soraya approached Ethan while he adjusted a prosthetic for a small girl named Mira. "Ethan," she said softly, "you have done more than I could have imagined. You have shown that humanity has qualities our people have long admired but seldom witnessed firsthand." compassion, creativity, and courage. You have not just helped children, you have changed the way my people see humans. Ethan looked up, exhausted but happy. I never thought of it that way, he admitted. I just wanted to help them. To give them a chance, Soraya smiled. And in doing so, you have given more than chance. You have given hope, trust, and friendship. Our two species may be different, but today, you have shown that understanding and care can bridge even the greatest divides. Ethan felt a warmth spread through him. He had begun this journey thinking it was about one child, one prosthetic. Now he realized it was about far more, the future of two worlds working together. The next day, Queen Soraya called a gathering of the city's leaders and families. Ethan presented the children, who moved freely with their new limbs. The crowd erupted in applause, and whispers of admiration and gratitude filled the air. For the first time, humans were not outsiders or curiosities. They were allies, teachers, and friends. Soraya approached Ethan afterward, placing a hand on his shoulder. You will remain with us, Ethan. Your work is far from finished. We have only begun to see what can be achieved when humans and Veyari work together. Ethan nodded, humbled and honored. I will stay. I want to help. I want to do more. She looked at him with intensity and warmth. Then you shall. Together we will build a future where no child is limited by what they were born with, where hope, ingenuity, and courage can thrive across the stars. Ethan took a deep breath, looking out at the city below. Children ran freely in the streets, laughing and playing. Parents watched with gratitude, and the once skeptical Veyari officials now treated him with respect. He realized that this moment was more than success or recognition. It was a turning point, a sign that human qualities could make a difference not just on Earth but across worlds. And for the first time, Ethan felt the full weight and wonder of being human in a galaxy full of possibilities. As night fell, the stars above shimmered like diamonds in the alien sky. Ethan stood with Queen Soraya and the children he had helped, feeling a sense of belonging and purpose he had never known before. The journey ahead was long, the challenges many, but for the first time, he felt truly ready. He had crafted a limb for a child, and in doing so he had built bridges of trust, hope, and friendship that stretched across the stars. Humanity had proven itself, not through conquest or power, but through creativity, courage, and compassion. And in that moment, Ethan knew that even a single human could change the lives of many, if only they dared to care. The Queen's gaze met his, and without words, she acknowledged the bond they had formed. Together they would face the future, creating a world where children could move freely, dreams could grow without limits, and the light of humanity shone brightly among the stars. Ethan smiled, feeling a quiet satisfaction that no award or recognition could match. The journey had only just begun, but he was ready. He had become more than an engineer. He had become a bridge between worlds, a symbol of hope, and a reminder that humanity's greatest power was not in machines or technology, but in the heart.